Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. Finally I can make this video. I've been wanting to post this video for a week. It was kind of a week ago I saw this Netflix series about Jeffrey Dahmer. But yeah, I found the time now, so better late than never, like I always say. What I'm gonna do is not only review the Netflix series, I'm gonna talk about the killer as well. So I'm gonna start about an introduction about Jeffrey Dahmer and then we're gonna talk about the series. Since the series released, it has been like a group of two actually enjoying it, maybe a little too much, and then we have a group that says it shouldn't even be. So we're gonna talk about that as well. So yeah, let's get started. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal or Monster, was born 21st of May 1960, death November 28, 1994. He was a serial killer and a sex offender. His murders contain of dismemberment, cannibalism, and necrophilia. He took the lives of 17 men between 1978 and 1991. His reign of terror lasted for 13 years. What Jeffrey Dahmer would do was to lure the victims either home to him or to a hotel by promises like drugs, beer, or sex. So when they do follow him, he would give them a drink and that drink would be drugged. So when they pass out, he would strangle them to death and pleasure himself with their dead bodies. He would also take photos. And after that, he would dismember the bodies and dispose of them. Like I mentioned, he would take photos of them during the murder process. Also, he would keep their heads or the genitalias as souvenirs. Places he would go to would be gay bars, malls, bus stops, or gyms. And the people he took home with him made it often clear that they just wanted a one night and that they have to leave for work early the next day. But he did not want them to leave. Most of the men Dahmer lured wanted to have anal sex and he wasn't really interested in that. He wanted to spend the night with them without having to perform that. Dahmer was after a sexual partner that wouldn't demand anything from him or wouldn't criticize him. Most importantly, not leaving the next day. Jeffrey just wanted to snuggle and hug and feel each other's warm. And that, personally for me, tells me that he might be hypersensitive. And being hypersensitive means, well, you're sensitive to touch, sound, and smell. So he's somebody's after, in a way, to fulfill his senses and his needs, yeah. Jeffrey Dahmer did steal a mannequin once. It was in male form. It was to fulfill his sexual fantasies with it, but it didn't fulfill him long enough. The other reason also was so he didn't have to hurt anyone else, but like I said, it fulfilled him just for a short while. Why did Jeff eat people? When he killed them and disposed of them, he started to feel like it was such a waste. So he thought if he could incorporate, or what you say, a part of this person he admired into himself, so they could live on that way. So when he cooked and ate a person he admired, he used to look at their photos at the same time. This is what I heard. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was the son to Joyce and Lionel Dahmer. He was born May 21, 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. As a child, Jeffrey Dahmer was very bright and loving. He also likes to play and feel things, like to feel their texture. He had a really strong curiosity. He was very curious about the environment surrounding him and just wanted to know what was going on. He also enjoyed small animals, or had a curiosity for small animals. His father used to collect dead small animals under their house and used to pick up their bones to study or look at them, and this Jeffrey actually enjoyed doing. When Jeff moved to Ohio with his family, he became very shy and drawn back. So his parents got him a puppy to get his mind off the move. They also thought that maybe it would be a good idea if he got involved more with his family. So Jeffrey got to decide the name of his little brother, David. Jeff's mother got hospitalized and treated for anxiety, and that's when Jeff's parents' marriage started to fail. When Lionel Dahmer told the sons that their mother wanted to get a divorce, Jeff took it really hard. He felt like he lost control. So Jeff shut down to avoid feeling the pain of the marriage, and it showed to be very effective. Jeff's fascination with animals followed him through teenage years, and what he used to do was take the car and have garbage bags with him and collect roadkill that he would secretly dissect behind their house in the woods. People that knew Jeffrey Dahmer, or people that went to school with him, was very shocked that he could commit this crime, knowing that he had somewhat of a normal childhood and he had things going for him. In the township where Jeffrey Dahmer was from, homosexuality was very taboo and never spoken of. He tried to find a partner, but he didn't know anyone that was gay, and that became very, very sexually frustrating. We're going to talk about the first kill Jeffrey Dahmer committed. Jeffrey Dahmer had fantasies about picking up a good-looking hitchhiker that he would enjoy. In the Netflix serie, they show it like it was an accident that Jeffrey killed him. It was an accident. It wasn't. I truly believe it wasn't. Jeff's father and mother was gone. He was 18 years old. Jeffrey had a car, so he was on his way home and he stumbled upon a hitchhiker called Stephen Marks. Found him very attractive, so he stopped the car and asked him if he wanted to come with him and smoke pot in his home. And that he wanted. Both of them went up to his bedroom and had some beers, and as time went, Jeff could tell that Steve Mark wasn't gay. Jeffrey did not know how to keep his guest, other than to take a barbell and knock him down with it. He also strangled him with it. Jeffrey was in real shock over what he did, and he didn't really know what to do. But he did pleasure himself to the dead body. The next day he decided that he really needed to get rid of the body. So he dismembered the body and disposed of the body part. And this was really sexually exciting for him. He found it sexually arousing to look at the shiny lining of the internal organs. His compulsions and sexual drive started to rise strongly after he tried to do good, like going to church with his grandmother and stopped drinking for 2 years. He really just tried to keep his desires in, but it didn't work. He did have strong abandonment issues, so after he ate them, it started to process to something else, like trying to make them as zombies. He wanted to make them as zombies so they could live with him under his control and not demand anything from him. What he did was drill a hole through their skull and insert acid, but that killed them too quick, so he stopped doing that and started to insert dilute acid instead. He experimented so he can make or create the perfect living dead partner. The victim to this experiment, was the 14-year-old child named Konrak. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. The thing here is also that Konrak had a brother that Dahmer sexually assaulted 2 years earlier. What happened here was that there was a woman called Nicole that tried to save this 14-year-old child from Dahmer. She and a friend was going to her cousin's house. They were driving. And then she peeked out the window and she saw someone that appeared naked. And she also saw that he was stumbling a lot, so she approached him. The 14-year-old boy was holding her with a strong grip, She could feel that he was shaking and trembling. So she promised him, so she stayed with him and promised him help. So she called the cops and explained the current situation, that he was naked and trembling and that he needed help quickly. And as she was in the phone, Dahmer was approaching the kid. Dahmer took a hold of the boy, and Nicole could see that the boy was trying to get away. So she told Dahmer that she called the cops and that they were on their way. Jeffrey tried to explain to Nicole that the kid was fine, and as he lifted the 14-year-old child, Nicole could see that the child was bleeding from his rectum. And that was when Nicole refused to let Dahmer take the kid. When help came, which was the fire department first, they covered the 14-year-old boy with a blanket. And then when the cops came, they spoke with Dahmer, and Dahmer explained that it wasn't anything wrong with the boy, he was just drunk and he was a friend. Dahmer was very calm when he spoke about the boy to the cops, but when he spoke of Nicole, he got really rude and called her a crazy bitch and more. And when Nicole tried to explain to the cop her concerns and that she truly believes that the kid and Dahmer do not know each other, the cops told her calmly to wait, but she got ignored in the end. So she went to her aunt's house that was close by and explained the situation briefly. So when they got to the spot, they noticed that the fire department was gone, and the cops were gone, and the child and Dahmer was gone. Everybody was gone. Nicole asked her aunt to kill the cops to check up the boy. So what the cops said was, technically, that they took Dahmer's words for it, that the 14-year-old child was not a child, he was drunk, and it was his boyfriend. So the situation here was that it was a boyfriend thing. And they left it at that. So in the end, what happened later was that Dahmer killed the 14-year-old child and ate parts of his body. In the end, Jeff Dahmer got life. He had to listen to the victims' family, friends, and in the end of the day, he was declared sane. He knew what he was doing. Jeffrey Dahmer died in prison performing a cleaning duty in a bathroom. He died by a convicted murderer called Christopher. Christopher also called another convicted murderer called Jesse. Now we can speak about the Netflix serie Jeffrey Dahmer that is developed by Ian Brennan, Ryan Murphy, that also developed American Horror Story. The actor that took the role of Jeffrey Dahmer is Evan Peters, and he did it beautifully. He is also very known in American Horror Story. This is a documentary series where it's about Jeffrey Dahmer's origins. So we get to follow him from childhood to his death. They will also show his gruesome murders. We do see a bit of, well, of course we see the victims, but not so deeply as persons, you know what I mean? We do see the family's pain, but not so much. So in a way, it's just Jeffrey Dahmer. As stated in the beginning of this video, this series got a lot of praise and a lot of critique. It got critique for once because Netflix tagged it HBTQI and they saw it as a hate crime. Also, the families of the victims felt like some stories was just meant to be left alone, that it wasn't necessary in a way. And other critique was that they are sexualizing the serial killer here a bit too much, and in all honesty, I can see what they're coming from. I watch these kind of series or documentaries because they have a lot of psychology in them. I love to analyze people. I like to analyze situation. I like to analyze everything. So that's why I like crime, because psychology and analyzing. And I also can appreciate extraordinary acting. The acting of Jeff Dahmer was mind-blowing. For me, it was mind-blowing. He impersonated him, his walk, his awkwardness, how he talks, and his sick urges very well. And I mean, acting has some kind of psychology as well, because he has to put his mind set to a serial killer's. And that's what shocked me, because he executed it beautifully, very beautifully. He executed his hypersensitivity very, very well. And it makes me think, how did you feel when playing this role? And how did you feel after when leaving it? That is how I analyze when I watch things. I don't only analyze the character, I analyze also the actor. Because taking on a role to a serial killer is just not doing it. You know what I mean? You just don't do it. There's a lot of preparations, there's a lot of study. And he just nailed it, literally. I'm truly amazed of this actor. But yeah, I have to agree to the group that said that the series kind of sexualizing the killer. It's not kind of, they are sexualizing the killer by zooming in his topless body and zooming in his muscles. I find it effing weird, to be honest. I do, but yeah, this is showbiz. That's how you lure audience. So when I went through the facts in the beginning of this video, I didn't bring up his apartment where he did all these killings, where he lured his victims. In the series, they explain it as he had a little apartment, looks like a single dude's apartment, and he had neighbors that often complained about a disgusting smell coming from his room or his apartment. According to this series, Jeff had a neighbor that was living next to him that could feel the smell from the smell from his apartment, and she complained a lot. She was also the one that was trying to save the 14-year-old child, not Nicole. Now, I've seen documentaries, 2 of them. No one mentions Glenda. No one. Only Nicole. And as I scrolled through TikTok, because they are really good at putting information there as well, Glenda wasn't even a neighbor to Jeff Dahmer. It was someone else, I don't know who. But yeah, I personally don't believe the series part when it comes to Glenda. I truly believe that it was Nicole that tried to save the 14-year-old child. As I watch this series, I can summon Dahmer as having abandonment issues, hypersensitivity, very awkward, master of manipulation and luring. And the series was very good at showing him as a big failure. Also, the important thing here was no one was actually willing to listen to him. It didn't seem like he could talk to anyone about his weird urges when he was younger even. And that's where his father actually failed him. He didn't take his time to actually talk to Dahmer. He did care about Dahmer. He wanted the best for him, but he didn't give that important time to let him express himself. The only time Dahmer got to speak up about his urges or anything was when he got life sentenced and did his interviews. His father was there for Jeff more than his mother, that's for certain. But like I said, he didn't really give the important time for Jeff to express himself ever. And weirdly enough, Seems like this father reacted more to Jeff being gay than a serial killer. There was parts in the series that was frustrating and sad moments. And the frustrating parts were the ignorance of the cops when they were ignorant to Glenda and when they were ignorant to the situation of the 14-year-old child. That was irritating, just their behavior overall. The sad part for me when I watched the series was the mothers when they cried. I can't stand a mother's grief or cry. That is painful, even if it is acting. The other part or person that didn't impact me so much in the series, but afterward, was Rita Isabel. I didn't react the way when I watched the series like I reacted after. When I watched TikTok, her part, I noticed that I had it in my phone, I was listening, and it went over and over and over, and I was just laying there and I just cried. I just cried because I could feel the pain in her voice. I truly understand why it would be difficult to see yourself through another actor. That horrible situation that you'd probably try to forget. I do understand that. And y'all can see me as an asshole, but I'm very honest. I understand the victim's family, I do. But why I continue watching this series? Because it's a learning thing for me. This is something I want to study. I want to study the behavior. But I understand why they're angry at Netflix or this series. I do. The most satisfaction part in the series was when Jeff Dahmer died in prison by Christopher. Jeff Dahmer stated he deserved death, and he got it. Christopher, that was his killer in prison, avenged all his victims, and this was the most satisfaction death I ever witnessed done to a serial killer. And I do not believe for a second that this wasn't set up by the cops or anyone else. It was set up. I don't care what anyone says. So there you have it, guys. We had a video about Jeff Dahmer facts and Jeff Dahmer's series review. And yeah, I feel like the series was heavily only about Jeff Dahmer, not so much about his victims, and sadly in social media it's more talked about Jeff Dahmer than the actual victims. A little bit sad. I don't mind you guys sharing your opinions about the series. Write it down below. What did you guys think about the series if you have watched it? Yeah, and that would be it. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe today for more. I will keep more eye out on documentaries about serial killers. And yeah, guys, stay safe, have a good weekend, and take care. Bye bye.